Hey guys, I am so excited to be finally recording a Witchy Bullet Journal setup. This is something I have intended and wanted to do since the beginning of the year, and it's just been so busy. I've had a hard time, but I'm moving soon and so much going on. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself because it's just something I need and really want to start tracking as my spiritual journey. So stay tuned and I'm going to set this bullet journal up. Okay, so I'm just basically showing you guys a look inside my Chic Sparrow Traveler's Notebook. This is just a traveler's notebook that I created some dashboards out of some of my favorite scrapbooking paper I got from Michaels. I have different notebooks in here, like the one I'm putting in now is a manifestation journal that I keep, and then I also have one about A Course in Miracles and just some visualization and things like that that I do. And this is an Archer and Olive dot grid bullet journal with the shooting star in the front, and then it also has the silver gilded pages, which I really love. So I am just taking this astral moon diary that I got at the beginning of the year and cutting out a paper, just one of the pieces of paper that talks about the new moon, and I'm putting that just as a pretty little starter for the bullet journal. And of course washi tape drama because it just does not want to tear right. So here I am trying again with the washi tape, and when I put this together, I have to say I was actually really nervous about putting together a bullet journal on camera because I know so many people out there that record their bullet journal setups and everything else are really artists, and they do these just amazing spreads, and you know, they really like can draw in just incredible things. And I am not really an artist in that way. I'm a writer and I enjoy making pretty things, but I am not much of an artist when it comes to that. So you'll see throughout that I actually went through and drew a lot of this stuff out by hand with a pencil, because otherwise I know I would totally mess it up, and you'll see throughout that I still kind of messed it up. This is not necessarily something I'm great at, but it's something I want to do to kind of feed my own spiritual journey. So I'm doing it anyway, and I thought that some of you might be really interested in watching me set it up. So you'll see me go through actually like taking my eraser and erasing all of the pencil marks. And I know on another video I did over on my Heart Breathings channel that somebody recommended using friction markers instead of using a pencil, but the truth is, as shocking as it may sound, I kind of hate friction markers and friction pens because I don't feel like the color is like black enough on the black and stuff like that. So I don't tend to use them. Plus, if I used friction, it's not going to erase quite as well as a pencil and be as easy to like write over or anything like that. So I am using just a pencil, regular pencil, and then I'm going back over it with some of my favorite pens. So here I'm using one of the new Erin Condren pens. This is their dual tip markers. And then the other thing I'm using are Tombow mono drawing pens in the 0.1, 0.3, and 0.5 sizes because I love all of them. And I apologize if you can hear my son screaming. Hopefully you can't hear that, but he's in the bath right now. So that's another little bit of a thing here as I'm doing the voiceover, so I apologize. And so I just started out this page with a Stay Wild Moonchild quote, which I totally love. And then I'm drawing in the 2019 calendar here. And I am starting this bullet journal in June, and I wanted to leave room for notes underneath each of the months. So you'll see that this only actually goes up through till December or through November. So I don't have December on this little mini calendar here, which I know looks a little bit weird, but since I'm doing daily pages for this bullet journal, I don't think I'm going to actually make it to December anyway. So we'll see. If I make it to December, I'll do a special calendar for that day. So this is kind of some stuff I'm talking about, how it's never quite perfect when I'm doing this kind of thing. And I was a little bit nervous to get started at first because so many of the people that record their bullet journals are just doing just like gorgeous, perfect spreads, and just not something I know that I can do. And this is, I used to have a bullet journal a lot, but now I've kind of gotten back into it after years of being away. So I was a little bit nervous, but hopefully you guys will like what I set up here. So that is my little mini calendar for 2019. And now I'm going to move on to drawing the moon phases. And what you'll see throughout this is I actually got a lot of inspiration from Pinterest because, like I said, not an artist, but I can hopefully kind of copy other people's spreads. And some of these you'll see later are complete direct copies from other people that I found on Pinterest. So where I can, I will go ahead and link to either the blog that I got it from, the image I got it from, or to my Pinterest board that has a lot of these sort of links on them and pictures and images. And I don't remember where I got this moon phases one from. I actually took inspiration from lots of different types of pictures, but basically I'm just writing out everything from the new moon over to the balsamic and dark moons, all the way, through the full moon and everything else. And so I'm just marking kind of where the moon is and what the phase is called. And then later you'll see, I took a few pictures of it once it was done. You'll see that I go back in on this blank page to the right and I leave just a brief explanation of what the moon phases are, like what they all mean and that sort of thing. So I do go back in and add that, but I don't do it right here. So this is kind of the way it turned out, even though my circles turned out a little bit wonky, even though I had actually sketched them beforehand. So not perfect, but still kind of a cool reference to have. And I'll go back and add that other information in on this second page. Now what I'm doing here in the setup is I picked a word for 2019, and even though we're about halfway through the year now, this word is still super relevant to me. So my word for 2019 is emerge. And so what I'm doing with this page is I'm just writing out the word with, again, using those Erin Condren dual tip markers. And there I just kind of showed my hands really quickly. You couldn't really see it, but if you're a bullet journalist and you ever use your ruler with fine liners, you know that sometimes when you turn the ruler, you get ink mark all over you, and I completely forgot about that. So another lesson learned as I get back into bullet journaling. But I just wrote the word, I sort of framed it out, and now I'm just taking some time to quickly journal what the word emerge means to me. So this word for me this year is a little bit strange maybe because I actually have a yearly tarot card that is the Hermit. And so it seems kind of strange that my yearly sort of growth card for tarot is the Hermit, and I chose a word called emerge, which seems like it's the opposite. But I just feel like this is really a year for me to like come into my own, to really step into my own confidence, because I've had, a lot of problems in the past where, I had a narcissistic mother growing up who had some very strong opinions, to say the least, on every choice that I made, every decision that I made, from what I wore to who I dated to where I went to college to what I wrote. Everything in my life was really judged, and I had a lot of guilt about what I chose to do and if it was going to make my mother happy. And I broke out of that cycle a few years ago, and I'm still, after a couple of years even, still trying to come into my own here and really feel like I am fully being myself and not doing things simply because other people wanted me to. So that's a big part of what the word emerge means for me. Now on this page, I'm moving into my 2019 yearly tarot forecast, and this is kind of an interesting thing too. So I started working with a spiritual mentor and tarot life coach several years ago named Tanya Gonzalez. She has completely changed my life. I will link to her Instagram, Brown Girls Who Bruja, down below. She is incredible, and I absolutely love and trust her. And every year I purchase from her a yearly tarot forecast where she gives me, she draws a card for each month of the year. So unfortunately, my camera cuts out here for a little bit, and I have those all filled out, but this is my yearly tarot forecast. So that's always something that I really treasure because she does such an amazing job. And as I turn the page, I was talking about how I have a yearly growth card for tarot, and this is based on kind of like your birthday and the year you were born. And I found this in a book that I will link for you down below, but it's basically just a tarot book that has a lot of information about this sort of thing, and it's called the Tarot Handbook. And so what I'm doing here is I just printed out like copies of my favorite decks for the tarot cards. So I've just got the basic Rider Waite here, and later I'm going to show you guys, or you'll see me put in the bullet journal, a version of the Everyday Witch Tarot as well as the Hermetic Tarot. Those are three of my favorite decks. So I just sort of printed those out to put on the page. And now I'm literally just handwriting and copying out what the tarot handbook says about what your hermit year is all about. And it's just amazing. I've been using this. This is another thing that Tanya Gonzalez kind of taught me. And what's amazing about this is every year for the past 3 years that I've been using this as guidance as my tarot yearly card for growth, it has been so spot on. And the Hermit is really about, I guess, embracing your time for retreat and kind of, going inside yourself and working on yourself. But it also has an element here of really, looking at the things in your life and seeing what serves you and what doesn't serve you, and getting rid of things that are from your past maybe that don't serve you anymore. And this really resonates with me because we're moving in a couple of weeks, and so it's just that knowledge of like, okay, I'm getting rid of all these things that I don't use anymore. I'm getting rid of notebooks, I'm getting rid of pens, like tons of things that I loved but have moved on toward or forward from. And I'm not just getting rid of it, I'm donating it to people that really need it, and that feels really good. So moving on to this next spread here, this is a gratitude spread for me. So this says a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. So this is just a decorated page, but what I'm going to do on this second part of the page is I'm going to keep a little bit of a gratitude log here. So I am just basically writing out some of the simple things that I am grateful for, and then in between each of them I'm putting a little pink heart, which I thought was kind of cute. So I'm not going to fill it all out here, but you'll see me fill it out maybe a quarter of the way, and then as I go throughout the year I'm going to continue to add to it and just really focus on gratitude, because I feel like there's few things in life that ground you or make you understand really what blessings you have more than keeping a gratitude log and just constantly feeling grateful for the things that you have in your life. Even when life isn't perfect, it's like there's still so much each of us has to be grateful for. So I'm going to be combining this with a daily gratitude practice, and I'll talk a little bit more about my morning ritual at the end, but every morning I want to do visualization, gratitude, and some other things like that. So I am incorporating this gratitude here in this spread because I feel like it's so important, but I'm also going to be incorporating gratitude into my daily spreads. So that will come soon. But I do just feel like gratitude is one of the most important things that you can practice on a daily basis, because I find that I really have struggled most of my life with comparing myself to other people, and that starts to make me focus on things that I don't have or things that I don't feel like I am, or places where I'm not good enough. But I really feel like when it comes to comparison and things like that, gratitude is one of the best ways that you can move out of that and start to become really grateful for what you have. Okay, so in this next spread, which is really one of the most fun that I had making, is how to cast a magical circle. And I found information on this on tesswhitehurst.com, and I will link her site down below in her blog post on how to cast a magical circle. But basically, you cast a magical circle because you are sort of protecting yourself within the circle. And what she says is a magical circle is an energetic construct that you build or envision around yourself before working magic, doing a ritual, or meditating. And what I found was sometimes I was becoming very distracted when I was trying to do like a full moon ritual or reading my tarot cards for one of these bigger rituals. So I actually just struggled with that sort of energy issue and some of my negative thoughts and energy from things I had read online or social media that I had been participating in that day. And so someone in a group of mine recommended casting a magical circle, and I had never really heard of it before. So this is something I've just started doing this year. But if you want to kind of understand how to do it, you can go to that site, tesswhitehurst.com, and I will link it down below in the description box. But basically what I've done with this spread is just written out the directions for where you start and then how you end it. But basically you set different items around you in a circle facing north, east, south, and west, basically representing the 4 elements, and you call out to them to be there with you. Then you also call out to Mother Earth and Father Sky, and you thank them, and then the circle is cast. Then when you're finishing your ritual, you do the same thing, but you go in the opposite order, always ending in the north and thanking Mother Earth and thanking all the elements for being there with you to help protect you. And then at the end, you have a little saying that you can do to sort of say is um, the circle is done but never broken. And it just really has helped me feel more at peace and more at ease when I'm casting the circle and then doing some of these small rituals. I don't really get into a lot of like pagan rituals or anything like that or spell casting, but I do actually practice a lot of manifestation in my life, a lot of visualization of the things that I want to bring forward in my life. And I also do a lot of things where I'm trying to forgive the past, forgive some traumas that I've had in the past and people that have hurt me, and move forward in my life. And so when I'm doing those sort of things, or when I'm doing my tarot readings for the full moon and the new moon, I really like to have this magical circle in place because it just helps me to feel so much more at peace. Okay, so the end of that spread got cut off because epic, like several hour session. It took me, I think I worked on this the first night for maybe 2 or 2.5 hours, and now I've come back and you can tell maybe the lighting's a little bit different and I'm working on it again the next day. So this took quite some time to really set up the way that I wanted it to. And I know that it'll be easier on a daily basis than it is like setting up all these earlier spreads, but bullet journaling is no joke, you guys. It's time investment to draw all this stuff in. But anyway, I finished the magical circle spread and now I'm setting up a books to read spread, and this is really one of my favorites. But you can see I am straight out legit copying this verbatim, like per exact image from Pinterest. And so I will link down below the image and the place where I got this image from, because it's not mine in any way. And I thought it was brilliant. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just drawing out the spread now with a bunch of empty book covers or book sides. And what I'm going to do, I don't do it in this setup right now, but what I am going to do is go back in and I'm going to add titles to the spines of these books. And then as I read them, I will color them in. So I think that I'm going to, I didn't do this again in the setup because I have already packed up all of my colored pencils, but I think I'm going to use colored pencils for this one because like the Erin Condren markers are a bit too like thick or saturated for me to use them in this spread. So I just didn't want to do that. But I think I'm going to use colored pencils when I go back through. And I have a list on Amazon of like all the books that I most want to read. And so I'm going to go back in and add those to the spines and then perhaps add to them throughout the rest of the year. And I'll probably go back in also and add the books that I've already read this year. And now what I'm doing is I'm setting up what ends up being like 2 full spreads of daily tarot readings. So for a while now, I've been reading 3 daily tarot cards at night before I go to bed. I do actually have started in my morning routine reading one, like pulling 1 card in the morning, but I pull typically 3 cards at night. And sometimes I ask a specific question that I need like past, present, future. Sometimes I ask different things, but I'm always pulling 3 cards. And part of this is just part of my practice to become more familiar with the cards and to spend more time with them. But basically, I spent some time coming up with spreads that would give me enough room to put in 3 cards a day. And I don't actually show you an example of how I'm going to put in the 3 cards, but basically I put in 1 long column for each month, and I actually put in like 30 days for February, so I had to go back in and white that out. But I am putting in every single day, and then I left enough space there to put in symbols. So you'll see my next spread after these 2 spreads is tarot symbols one. So I'm going to use symbols and colors to mark what the daily readings were, and I'm not taking any specific notes on what they were, but I'm just like trying to track patterns of the cards that kept coming up, because I found that to be something pretty powerful in my life. It's like, oh yeah, okay, this one card has appeared like 4 times in 1 week or 7 or 8 times in 1 month, and it's something I really need to pay attention to, and then I can go deeper in with that card. And it not only helps me learn tarot, because even though I've been working with it for a few years, I still have so much to learn, and it's such a valuable tool for me that I really am loving. But I really want to go even deeper with it in a lot of ways. So this is one way that I can do that. So you'll see I started all the way back in January, and I've got all the way to December. So I tracked my daily tarot readings in a small little Hello Kitty notebook. And so I will go back probably next week and add in all the readings that I've done throughout the year. So when I get that done, if you guys would like to see kind of how it looks, then go follow me on Instagram at Sarra Cannon, and you'll be able to see a picture. I'll try to post a picture of that when I have it done later next week. So now that those spreads are done, I am going back through and I'm doing the tarot symbols. And again, this is not something that I can take any credit for. I copied this 100% from an image I saw on Pinterest, and it's credited to an Instagram account called Cohelen's Journal, but I looked for it and I think that account is no longer out there. So I'm not really sure who to attribute this to, but I will link down below to the image that I copied from if you'd like to see it, just to give proper credit to it. But since I knew I wanted to keep track of those daily tarot readings on something that I could see at a glance, like how often the same card had come up, I needed some kind of symbol system. So you can see me pulling it up here, and I'm just copying the ones they use because I just really liked them a lot. So this first, like all of these first boxes are the basic major arcana. So I put on top of each box the name of the card, and then I'll go back in and fill it in with the actual symbol that this person used. And I'm not sure where these symbols came from, if there was something that she made up or if it's just something kind of universal. But here on the side, these 4 boxes, I'm just drawing in the 4 suits of the minor arcana and then the color code that I'm going to use with those. And all she did in her guide was just give you an example of one card, and then you can just reuse it for all cards in the minor arcana. So I'm using this purple color for all of the major arcana, and then I just sort of came up with my own little color code using prettier colors that I felt like were nice. And so here I'm kind of going through some of the Erin Condren dual tip markers to decide which colors I'm going to use. So for cups, I used this sort of periwinkle color, teal for the pentagrams, and then a pink color for swords, and then, or for wands, and then swords are the yellow color. And so that is the tarot symbol spread. And then I just went into my Happy Planner Free Spirit sticker book and added a couple little things. So we are almost done with this entire setup. So all I'm doing here is I'm setting up the month of June with my monthly card from that tarot reading that Tanya did for me. So Wonders of Wonders, definitely a great card to have. The Wheel of Fortune is my card for June, and I'm hoping that means like really good things are coming my way. There are actually a lot of changes happening in the month of June because we're moving to a new house. I'm launching, the next round of my HB90 course. I hopefully have a brand new book coming out. So hopefully that's what the Wheel of Fortune is, really turning toward. It is just really better times for productivity. This has been kind of a tough pregnancy. If you didn't know, I'm 7 months pregnant now. So we're kind of moving into that last trimester and all of this sort of last bit of energy. So I'm hoping that means like less stress and, new creativity and new energy. And then I just set up a June calendar here with some stars and stardust around it and marked the new moon date and the full moon day. Then I just wanted to take a moment to kind of show you, I had intentions of setting up this planner with my spiritual journal, but the front of it got all messed up and the paper wasn't as nice as I wanted it to be. So I treated myself to the Archer and Olive, but in the meantime, I've been using this one. So this isn't just some quick examples of how I've got my daily pages set up for my morning pages. And I've taken a lot of inspiration from Quinn Boulay. who has an Instagram account called mindful_hookup, which I'll also link down below. My pages are nowhere near as beautiful as hers, but she does something called the Magic Morning, and it's really focused on like visualization, meditation, exercise, you know, different things like that. So I'm going to be doing that every day, and I'm going to keep track of that in this journal. So here's a walkthrough of how the bullet journal turned out. I'm really loving the way it turned out. I think it turned out really nice. Even though I'm not the best artist in the world, I feel like I did a pretty good job of setting it up in a way that sort of reflects my, you know, style and what I wanted it to be. And I think this is going to be a really nice place for me to just keep all my thoughts, keep my spiritual journey and everything else, and stay grounded. So I'm looking forward to going back through and really filling this out. If you guys would be interested in seeing more bullet journal setup type videos and seeing how this journal progresses as time goes on, please comment down below. I would love to have you subscribe to this channel. I have not posted on this Sarra Cannon channel as much as I have over on Heart Breathings. If you're interested, if you're a writer and you're interested in, you know, planning stuff and learning more about writing, then I do have a YouTube channel called Heart Breathings that I'll link down below that I post to several times a week. But this one is more just for me. This channel is more for me, and I haven't had as much time to really post on it. So I'm hoping to post more. I'm going to be posting some of my Summer of Ghost Story stuff and more about my behind the scenes writing process here. So I would love to have you follow me. If you'd subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified next time new videos come up from me. And I would love for you to like this video if you enjoyed it. And if you have a spiritual or witchy bullet journal of your own, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you guys so much for following along with this, and I will see you next time. Peace and blessings. Bye.